Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to BoltsNBytes. We've got a new format for you. We're going to have some new hosts, but we'll still be bringing you updates and information about Pantheon, about our Drupal communities, about the WordPress community, about open source communities in general. In case, though, that you're new, maybe you haven't caught BoltsNBytes before, I'm John Richards. I manage the developer advocacy team at Pantheon, and I'm so excited to announce today with me are Tearyne Almendariz and Jose Castaneda, our two newest members on the developer advocacy team. Tearyne and Jose, go ahead, introduce yourselves, tell everybody a bit about your background, what you're looking forward to in developer advocacy, and on BoltsNBytes.
Yay, hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Okay.
Right, Tearyne, you want to go first?
No. Okay, I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Tearyne Almendariz. I am a developer advocate at Pantheon. I started out as a front-end developer. I worked for local governments, and I have been in the Drupal community. That's where I do my development stuff. Been in the Drupal community for 7 years now. I worked at the agencies Lullabot and Brightplum, and I am just super amped to be able to help other developers so that they don't have to cry by themselves. So yeah, I'm also the lead of the Drupal Diversity and Inclusion Initiative. Lots of things. Jose, it's your turn.
Nice, awesome. That's always a good thing. I'm Jose Castaneda. I've actually been at Pantheon for a little over 2.5 years. I started off as a support engineer. Now I'm over on the developer advocate side. So I used to do a lot of WordPress theme reviews way back in the day, so I'm pretty comfortable with those.
Let's segue over to the Drupal updates. And that's what I'm doing. I'm giving the Drupal community updates. So for our Drupal community updates, Drupal 7.85 was released. That is the #1 thing. So if you haven't already, go check it out. Maybe upgrade if it's what you need. There's a security update. Definitely do that. If you need help with that, Pantheon can help. Remember that Drupal 7 is at the end of life. Our second item of updates and news is that nominations are open for the 2022 Aaron Winborn Award. The nominations are open. They opened around January 13th, and they are open until Friday, March 25th, 2022. I know that there have been a lot of camps that have had to cancel mid-camp. RIP. We'll see you soon, I hope. But Florida Drupal Camp is still on, and their schedule is live. 2 of us Pantheoners are actually going to be there presenting sessions at least, and I'll be helping with the training. So come and visit in sunny Orlando. I don't live in Orlando. I live in Dallas. Florida Camp is in Orlando. It'll be February 18th through 20th, 3 days of all things Drupal, chatbots, PHP stands. PHP stand. Is that a fan of PHP? But also accessibility. And we're going to go over to Jose for the WordPress update.
Yeah, so updates as far as WordCamps are, I think the biggest one is probably WordCamp Europe. Who doesn't want to go to Europe, right? It's June 2nd through the 4th. I think the biggest perk in that is it's an in-person one. So we get to actually, get to be there, at least distance high five one another. Who doesn't? And then the other one is Birmingham was actually postponed until spring. I was actually a little bummed only because this would have been my first WordCamp, going there and going with John, having some fun, enjoying the food. Who doesn't love food? I love food. And then the other thing, of course, WordPress 5.9 is coming out. It's going to be a lot of cool things that are coming. And I know we actually have Chris Reynolds here, who works at Pantheon as a CMS ecosystem engineer. I'm sure he'll actually tell us more a little bit about that.
Hi, there's the mute button. Hi, hey. Yeah, I'm Chris. I've been at Pantheon since September, so not too long. Previously worked at Human Made, and before that, Web Dev Studios. I've been in the WordPress world for a long time. In fact, it's the reason why I have no hair. Stuff.
I was going to say, I can kind of relate to the whole no hair thing. That's the reason you pull it out so much. That's why mine are like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All the WP drama.
Oh, for real.
But new WP drama is WordPress 5.9, I guess.
Yeah. So we're so excited, Chris, that you are joining us because we get a little expert. I know you've been digging into 5.9 a little bit. Yes. So thank you for joining. Chris has brought a bunch of WordPress experience to our CMS ecosystem team, and so I'm excited to hear what you've got for us today.
Yeah, well, I remember I remember all the WP drama around when Gutenberg dropped, and that was a big deal. And that was one of those things where it was like, should we release it? Should we not release it? Should we push the release? Should we not push the release? Should we push it? Did we push it far enough? Did we not? I mean, there's just all this just hand wringing, and I felt like the full site editing features that are added in 5.9 had a similar sort of amount of hand wringing. So I thought that probably would be a good idea to just, take a look. And I know that some of my colleagues had looked at it like a year ago and said this isn't ready for prime time. So I was sort of curious to see what was new. And like, it's really fun and interesting to have like a cool demo, and like it's really impressive to see things in a presentation, but like actually interacting with it might not be as pretty. So I wanted to see like the degree to which the hype is real. So yeah, so I've been messing around with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that terror trying to be like, oh, have we tested enough? What's going to break when this rolls out? I think it rolled out like the day before WordCamp US that year, I believe, because we were like, I don't want to spend my word, but it ended up being okay. It was not as catastrophic as some people had thought. And in fact, it actually was pretty smooth. Most people did not spend their WordCamp trying to fix things. A lot of people had tested. We also had the option for the plugin, that was like, hey, I don't want to deal with this. I'll drop this plugin and be ready. Do you think people should be worried about 5.9 dropping and how how is this impacting what they're doing?
Yeah, I don't think you should be worried at all. 5.9 or the full site editing is entirely opt-in. In fact, it's almost like several layers of opt-in. You've got you only have access to full site editing if you are actually using a block editor, a block theme. So it's a specific type of WordPress theme that is built in sort of a different way to take advantage of basically Gutenberg, all the things. And so unless you have a block theme active, you don't even see the new stuff. Then if you do have a block theme active, there's like the theme is basically, I mean, it sort of changes the way like we as developers think about building themes, because rather than being really prescriptive and saying like, this is exactly what the theme does, this is exactly what this template does, this is what this template part does, it's more like, here's a suggestion of like what this page could be maybe, and here's some like intelligent defaults. And once it gets into the hands of, a site editor, they can say, yeah, nah, I don't like that. I'm going to change all this stuff. And right. What's that?
I said, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And it's really interesting and exciting. So the other layer of sort of opt-in is like, once you get that stuff, do you even use any of it, or are you fine with just, the default stuff that came with the theme? Or maybe make, one or two changes or whatever. And even within that, there's so block themes allow the developer to add like their own custom color palette. That's actually something that was added to Gutenberg and therefore into Core for a while, as you could sort of add like a palette of colors to your theme. So block themes obviously use that. And so then you can, choose from the colors that the designer thought would look good with this theme when you're just viewing the editor. So you could like the only change you could make might be just changing the colors and like, the style of the fonts or something. And that's fine too. So like there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of like sort of, I guess, safeguards for breaking the whole site. You can totally break your whole site though.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's scoped, that like, hey, if you're not ready for it, you're not going to suddenly be something unexpected. But for those themes that do this, those like block themes that you're talking about, do you think that this is kind of a philosophical shift on how you approach WordPress now, kind of like Gutenberg was, or is this maybe more Gutenberg, and so it feels like it's just part of that kind of existing change that was already happening?
It really is sort of, I think of it as sort of like a philosophical shift in terms of how you go about building a theme and how you would approach it. I sort of, coming into WordPress theme development, like I'm a PHP developer, or at least I have been developing in PHP since I've been playing with WordPress, which is forever ago. And so I'm like looking at this block theme, looking at 2022, and like, where's all the PHP? Like everything is these HTML templates. What? And then you open up the template and it's all this like Gutenberg code. And like I've seen Gutenberg code, I've looked at the code editor after adding a Gutenberg block, and you see those HTML comments, and it's got like the JSON in there. But like that's the template. Like it's all this stuff. And it's like, what is even happening anymore? How do I exist? Like, where am I? It's the John Travolta confused in the server farm GIF. And I think that in the end, what it does is it makes theme development a lot more accessible for new folks because there's less stuff to learn. You do need to like understand how the Gutenberg code sort of works and how these block patterns and things work. But like, there's not a lot of PHP. 2022 has no JavaScript. It's like, amazing. Like it's astounding. It's a tiny little thing. I mean, it's really super complex when you look at all the patterns, but it's also not that complex because it's all Gutenberg stuff, and you can throw that stuff out the window if you want.
Do you have a favorite part of 5.9 that you've been playing with it that you think's like, oh man, this is I don't know, either killer feature or just something that you're like, this is what I want to play around with, or I'm really hoping we get some themes that really embrace this piece?
Well, the one thing that I thought was really interesting, and the first question that I had once I was like digging into like how the new theme 2021 works was like, okay, so what happens if the only thing I want to change is like the colors? Right? Like if the only thing I want to do is like change some of the stuff that goes into that theme.json file that was introduced in 5.8, I guess. And does a child theme still work if the only new file is a theme.json? The answer is yes, actually. So you can just make a theme, give it an empty style.css, just to have your header stuff, give it an empty index.php because themes don't need an index.php file, even though it's not being used, and then give it a theme.json. And just like a normal child theme, whatever's in your theme.json will overwrite those values in the parent theme and nothing else. So all of those things will still work. I mean, it works as expected. It does the things that you would expect a child theme to do with that. So that was really cool because that's like the first thing that I probably want to do, on my site is like, can I just take this and tweak some of the things and then push up a very small change to the default, because developers, we don't have time to update our own websites, right? Like the smallest thing that I need to worry about.
Yes. Oh, I love it. That's a really powerful way to customize a lot of things with minimal effort.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there anything not full site editing related that you like that stands out? I know there was a couple features they talked about for 5.9. Was there anything in there that you were like, hey, this is pretty cool too, or was it pretty much overwhelmed by full site editing?
Well, the other thing that's going to be noticeable to folks using WordPress that's new to 5.9 is the duotone filter, and I know that's like sort of a super cosmetic thing, and it's a really nice thing to like put in presentations, but it is actually pretty cool. And like it does, and the really neat thing that I found using that in combination with full site editing is you can make a really interesting like stylized like repeating icon, or like all of your featured images can be stylized with your duotone filter and things like that, and that makes it pretty neat. It is sort of it's I mean, I'm sure it's not minor in terms of like the amount of hours and code that has gone into this filter, but it's a little thing that is just kind of neat. It's pretty cool. It lives up to the hype. And then there's the other thing that I think is pretty cool is the login page is going to have a language switcher now. So like if you have multiple languages, installed on your site, it'll have a little drop down that says set my admin to this language. So that's really super good for multilingual sites.
That actually is one of my favorite ones too, because it's the regional. It's not just like global, but it's a regional thing too. So the way it works is vastly different. Because I know when I was in El Salvador, of course, the language between where I was at was vastly different from some other little county that was over there. It's just like, oh, it may not have the same exact impact when you say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, for sure. And like that's one of those things that like I've thought should be part of WordPress for a really long time too, is like making language localized to the person that's looking at the site. Like that just makes sense, as opposed to this is the language of the site and you must read it. Sorry. Use Google Translate.
Oh, Google Translate. I love it.
Isn't multilingual like on the WordPress roadmap? I think it's after the Gutenberg stuff, but I've really been hoping for that because talk about democratized publishing, doing that like the next step after like, oh, we're doing this is like let's make sure we're getting this as many languages as possible, embracing it. I know you can like run individual WordPress sites, it's been translated in a ton of languages, but being able to make our content available to more people in more places is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely in the roadmap, and I'm really interested to see what the sort of architectural decision for that ends up being. Like I feel like there's ways that you could do it with Gutenberg, like inline, like just have multiple translations of a block sort of thing. I don't know because I've worked on big multilingual like multi-sites before, and I feel like that's a pretty good experience. Ish, I guess. Maybe not the best, especially if you're trying to translate like content directly into another language. Like you have to push the stuff up to the other sites, and it gets to be a little bit of a headache. But I still feel like having like a Spanish subdomain or a German subdomain on your site is still a really good way of dealing with that. So I'm interested to see the sorts of tools that come out of that sort of research when it does finally get pushed up to the top of the list. It's definitely not an easy thing to solve.
No, not at all.
No.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate you jumping on here, sharing your expertise, talking to us about all you've explored with 5.9. We hope to have you back on the show again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Sure. Happy to come back. Thanks.
No, we're going to have Tearyne and V coming up, talking a little bit about gift of open source.
Hi again. We're back. Thanks, John and Jose, for doing that interview with Chris. Like I said, I'm a Drupal developer, but I feel like I learned a lot. And I apologize if y'all hear my dogs in the background. They heard somebody walking around outside.
They can join the talk too. It's cool. We welcome all.
Right? Well, maybe we'll have Mojo join us next time. All right. Well, we'll see y'all, Jose and John. And thanks again, Chris, for that exciting update about WordPress 5.9. Awesome. So thanks, John and Jose and Chris, for that awesome WordPress 5.9 update. Releases like WordPress 5.9 are only possible because of the robust communities that we have. Our contributors in the WordPress and Drupal spaces and ecosystems. And Pantheon really believes in the power and importance of an open web. Having a free web, open source software is integral to that. And that is why, again, this year, we had our Gift of Open Source event. V is here to talk to us. Vivo Fam is one of our Pantheon community program coordinators, and he's going to talk to us about the 2021 Gift of Open Source event. Hi, V. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for the introduction, Tearyne. I'm thrilled to be here, and hi, everyone. As Tearyne mentioned, I'm Vivo Fam, Pantheon's community programs coordinator. I'm also new to the company. I just started at Pantheon last month, so it's really exciting to be here. So in this role, I get to support, plan, and oversee community initiatives and programs like our Gift of Open Source event that build and foster community around Pantheon, and that also get the word out about all things open source.
Yeah, I just have to say, like, your self intro was so fire, and I hope I get to have your confidence with doing that someday.
I was gonna be like, did I mess up somewhere?
No, you did like so great. I'm always like, my name is Tearyne. So no, I just wanted to compliment you on that. But in case people missed out on the gift of open source, like, and they missed a lot, but can you tell us a bit about what it is and the things that happened during it? I know, like, I won a prize on Twitter, so that was exciting.
So the gift of open source is a free annual challenge hosted by Pantheon that takes place throughout the month of December. So the purpose of the event is to sprinkle some extra cheer during the holiday season by encouraging people, regardless of their background or technical skill level, to give back to the open source projects that they care about the most. So both code and non-code contributions are welcome, and we really can't stress this enough. You don't need to have a technical background to participate. And to take part in the gift of open source, you just need to register for the event and submit your contributions via an online form. And the first 300 people that registered last year and also contributed at least two open source projects got a limited edition gift of open source t-shirt.
Oh,
yeah. And best of all, by participating in the gift of open source, you're also giving back to the community. And every contribution up to 500 generated a $20 donation to the WordPress Foundation and Drupal Association. And this year, as you just mentioned, we kicked things off with the 12 days of giving giveaway on Twitter, and this provided our online community the opportunity to score awesome tech gadgets by engaging with our 12 days of giving Twitter posts, which in turn helped us generate awareness and interest for the gift of open source.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. Like, I know I signed up. I tried to do a couple things, but I mostly encouraged other people to do things. How many total participants did we have? Like, were there a lot of contributions?
Yeah, so throughout the month of December, we actually received a total of 185 registrations and 102 open source contributions, which is really awesome. And on top of that, we actually got event registrants from 23 countries, including the US.
What all countries were there? Because now I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
The US,
so,
that's like 22 others.
Yeah, so in addition to the US, we also got registrants from Australia, Belgium, Burundi, Canada, Colombia, France, French Polynesia, Germany, Greece, Guinea, India, Israel, Japan, Lithuania, the Republic of Moldova, the Netherlands, the Philippines, Romania, South Africa, Switzerland, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom.
Wow, that's like super global, like from almost all of the continents.
Yes,
Maybe
right.
Which
is just oh, sorry, just totally.
No, I'm just being goofy. I am so sorry to step on you. I was just being goofy and said maybe we can get penguins next year.
Yes.
What else did we do as Pantheon? Like, I know that you mentioned that up to 500 contributions, we would donate $20 per contribution, right?
Yes. So thanks to everyone who participated last year, we were able to donate $3,000 total to both the WordPress Foundation and Drupal Association. So $1,500 to each.
Oh, that is so awesome. Like, it's super cool to me that, you know, being a front-end developer, I interacted with Pantheon on that I need to put things up here and it gets hosted their level. But it's just great to see that we are fostering programs that are encouraging developers, right, to give back their time. Everybody talks about how we should contribute to open source, but like Pantheon is leading the way with this encouragement and giving back financially. I know the gift of open source is over, but are there any upcoming community events that are kind of similar to it or even different ones that people should know about?
Yeah, of course. And also that is an important reminder that really anyone can contribute to open source and also anyone can be a part of our community. You know, we're open to all. You don't need to be a developer or have a technical background to be a part of Pantheon. And we really, you know, can't stress that enough to folks. But yes, we do run a few programs on our community forum, actually. And if you haven't signed up for our forum site, I encourage you to do so by visiting discuss.pantheon.io. so you don't miss out on everything coming up, especially since we share event updates on there. But to start, you can engage with other Pantheon community members during our weekly Workout Loud threads, and our Web Ops Wednesdays, Ask Me Anything, or AMA threads are also coming up or starting back up next week. So definitely join us next Wednesday, January 26th, to learn from actually one of my friends. Her name is Shinmei Tanzi, and she's a visual designer and Masters of Interaction Design student at Harbor Space in Barcelona, Spain, and she has experience building WordPress sites. So that should be really exciting. And
That's super cool.
yeah, and in addition, you can also expect the second annual Lightning Awards later this year.
Hey.
Yeah, so last year it was in March, but this year it'll be a little later in the year. And for anyone who doesn't know about our Lightning Awards, they are Pantheon's annual awards recognizing web ops leaders for creating exceptional digital experiences that power the world's best user experiences. So more details on all of that to come.
That is super dope. We will have you come back to talk to us about the Lightning Awards and all these other events. Are you going to come back?
Yes, of course. And thank you so much, Tearyne, for including me on this today and having me. It's been great.
Yes, we love having you. Hey, thanks, Fee. So I think we've talked about all of our upcoming events, right, Jose and John?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's our first episode for 2022. This is so exciting.
Do we want to give people an idea of what our new schedule is going to look like, or do you think we'll just include that in the tweet for them?
We are switching to a bi-weekly format. So we are recording this episode a week before. You will see this on January the 27th. And so every 2 weeks thereafter is when you're going to see another episode of BoltsNBytes. They will be pre-recorded, and we might sneak in the occasional live one if we're like live at an event. But tell us what y'all think.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks again. And that is also why you may hear the discrepancy of me asking about 5.9 coming out. And you will be seeing this after 5.9 is already out. But all the information is still very pertinent.
Awesome. Well, that's our show.
Thanks,
Let's
everybody.
end it.